Good morning, all. Today we are going to discuss about a sample program for the concept finally. What do you mean by finally? We know that the finally block comes along with the try catch block, correct? So, finally defines a block of code we use along with the try keyword. It defines a code that's always run after the try and any catch block before the method is completed. And moreover, the finally block executes regardless whether an exception is thrown or caught. So, we are writing the finally block along with the try catch block. And we know that whenever an exception occurs, what do you mean by exception? Exception is an abnormal condition that arises during the execution of a program. Okay, abnormal condition means it may affect the normal flow of execution of our program in between and we can't finish the program. Okay, so here what we are doing, we have a try block, we have a catch block, and as well as we are having a finally block. So what the definition is saying, so finally block will execute irrespective of the exception caught or thrown. Okay, if finally block is there, definitely that will be executing. So here the name of our class is finally, and inside the main method we are dividing a number by 0. So we know that whenever we are dividing a number by 0, definitely it will be throwing an exception, correct? So here we declared three variables a, b and c. So A is having the value B. So A is having the value 10 and B and C is having the value 0. Okay. So we are dividing A by B and so storing that result inside the variable C. So whenever A, that is 10, divide by 0 comes, definitely it will be throwing an error, and here we are trying to print the result C. So we know that this is the critical code. Inside the try block, we will be writing the code that may generate an error or exception. Okay. So we have to give utmost importance to the critical code. And after that, we are having a catch block. Inside the catch block, we are catching the exception. Okay. That is thrown from this try block. Here, exception, general exception is a superclass of all the exception, and E is the exception object. In this E, that is this exception object, E will contain all the information about this particular exception that has thrown. That is the where the exception has occurred, in which number, like in if it is a arithmetic exception or some other exception, everything will be included in this exception object E. Okay, and this exception object can be printed in different methods by like print stack trace, then after like simply system.out.println, and like that also we can display. So here we are not going to in detail about that. So here simply we are displaying the exception object. Okay. So the try block in which we are dividing a number 10 by 0, and definitely exception will be throwing, and the catch block will be catching that particular exception, and E is the exception object which contain all the information about that particular exception, and in the catch block we are printing the details of that particular exception. And after this try catch block we are having the finally block. Okay, so if the exception occurred or not occurred, exception captured or it is not handled, this block will be getting executed. So inside this finally block, we are just printing in final block. Okay, so we can see what is the corresponding output. So my folder name is new Java. Inside I'm saving all the Java programs which is inside the D drive, and so I'm setting the path. Why I'm setting the path? My Java folder is inside the program files, that is in C program files Java. So I have to set the path here. For that set path, and I'm specifying the path of that particular bin directory. Okay, and after that I'll be executing this Java program. Java-C finally is a successful compilation. Then after that, Java finally. See, can you see? The exception is thrown here. Okay. Java.lang.arithmetic exception. And here we are getting the description of that exception. What is the exception? That is divided by 0 is the exception, and the type of exception is java.lang.arithmetic exception. So finally block, inside this finally block we have written in final block, that's also got printed. Okay, So if the exception arised or it is not there, definitely the finally block will be getting executed. So this is a simple example for our finally block. So that's all. Thank you.